Hi, everybody. Welcome. Is it okay to let them talk or?
Sure.
But our master there is controlling us. So.
It's a Zoom with the Bloom, so you.
How now I can talk.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello.
Chris and Joanne, thank you for doing this.
Hi, Julie.
Our house, for God's sakes.
Jane. Hey, Shayna.
Hey, Jolie.
Hi.
Great. How you doing, Tom? Oh, right in front of your liquor cabinet.
Yeah, which
Okay.
Chris was instrumental in putting together. So yeah,
Okay.
it's advertisement for Chris's advising services.
Which come free with a drink.
This is my husband, Jim, who's in the class of 74, admittedly, but
Terrific.
It's okay.
Julie allowed me to come on.
yeah, hope that's okay with everyone.
Our
Lovely.
I'm here.
fun thing.
And I see Andy.
There's Mike coming in.
Hello.
And I see Mike Hirschfeld.
Chris, you look very official.
Oh, well,
Hi.
they asked me, so this is I will explain this later. This is my official United States Bartenders Guild jacket.
In honor of Mike Hirschfeld, it's Maker's Mark.
Very good.
Linda.
Hello, Jane.
Hi, Jen.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Joanne.
Hi, Jan.
Hey,
You need to know that as people join, they become smaller and smaller.
Hey, Howard.
And I'm about 6 feet from the screen, so I can't
I
see as
see
well as I'd like.
Waldo.
Great. Good turnout.
Yeah.
Hey, Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Darcy's husband. Tom, can you unmute everyone before they're coming in? Or Shayna?
Hi, guys.
Hey, Ellen.
Hey, Marcy.
Hey, Marcy.
John.
Julie?
I can sort of hear you, Marcy.
Happy birthday, Marcy.
Can you hear me? I'm looking for my headphones. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now,
Now we can.
Yes or
Not
no?
having a problem. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Dixie.
birthday, Mars.
Hey,
Hey,
how are you,
Kate.
Tom?
Robin.
Andrew, you're in New Orleans, huh?
I was, not now, I was.
I know. I'm just looking at your photo.
Kurt.
Hey. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Kurt.
Hey, Kurt.
How are you?
Howard sneaked in there.
Better.
Mom, where'd your beard go?
And his mustache.
And his
I
mustache.
had to get rid of that last 6 ounces.
How come I'm the only one that's sideways?
Oh,
Hi, Dixie.
Hey, Marcy, how are you?
Good, how are you? Are you out west? Are you in the West Coast, San Francisco?
I'm in Park City, Utah.
Oh, wow. Skiing?
Yes,
Hi,
I have
Joanne.
been.
Who's
Hi,
in Park City, Utah?
I am.
Ah, you know my daughter lives there.
Yes, Chris, I know. I didn't know she was here now.
She lives
I'm in God's waiting room.
Hello, everybody.
hi, Tom.
Hello.
Here we are.
Why am I not sideways when everybody else is?
You
Are you
always
on
go
your
sideways,
phone?
Katie. You always go sideways.
All right,
Are you on your phone?
Just different.
No, I'm
Hold
on
on, I gotta
my,
go.
there's not much more of me to see. It's no big.
Little small, yeah.
If
Honey,
you're in
are
Park
you
City, Utah, go out and have some Lococo, which is a chocolate Anna invented.
Oh, what a good turnout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you in Florida?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, Bonnie, are you in Florida?
I am.
So you have a new studio there?
Yeah, I have a great studio.
You like it?
Yeah, we've been here 6 weeks. I just moved to Delray Beach.
Oh, okay. I'm in Amelia Island right
Are
now.
you? Yeah?
Yeah. I might come down and see your studio.
I would love it. Are you kidding?
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll contact you.
Just call me. Let me know when. I'm here. The weather's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. The Northeast is not so nice right now.
Mhm.
It's a good place
It's
to
an
live.
adjustment.
Yeah, it is. It's a cultural adjustment.
Exactly. But thank goodness I still have New York, so.
Yeah. Yeah. We do too.
Hi, Kate.
Hmm.
Tom.
Yeah. So does everybody have their mixing stuff? I mean, I'm ready to do it.
Ready to go.
Yep. Do you want me to go ahead and get started?
Has it hit 7 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Right. Yeah. 7 o'clock for Chris.
Did you start early?
Yeah.
I'm Tom.
If,
All right.
if we think everyone's had a chance to log on, then sure, go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone just for the quality of the sound. I think you'll be able to hear a little bit better.
And
We should mute.
mute.
All right. So, hello, my name is Shana Daubert. I'm the director of Kenyon's 50th reunion program. I would like to welcome you to an evening with your 1973 Kenyon classmates. I want to thank the 1973 50th Reunion Committee for hosting this event, and to Chris Bloom for creating and presenting his 50th Reunion cocktail. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items. We will be recording this event to share it with anyone who is unable to join. So everyone will be muted while Chris is instructing us to help maintain the quality of the sound. So if you have a question, please feel free to submit it in the chat, and then I will read the questions to Chris as we go. After your drinks are made, I'm going to move everyone into breakout rooms so you have some time to catch up with each other for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then we will all gather back in the main room to wrap things up. You will get a warning when you're about to put back into the main room, so you don't have to do anything. It will happen automatically. So now I will turn it over to Tom so he can get us started. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Shana. Welcome to all of you. And thanks for tuning in to what we hope will be a series of these Zoom events leading up to the class of 1973's 50th reunion in 2023. Tonight's featured presenters for Zoom with the Blooms join us from their home along the chilly shores of Lake Michigan in Chicago. And before I go further, I should mention that the reason that I'm sitting in front of my liquor is that most of this collection, if not all of it, owes its being to Chris Bloom. Without Chris's guidance, I never would have been able to put together a bar like this that seems to always have whatever it is that the guest wants. And since I don't drink alone, it lasts a long time. So Chris Bloom. Chris graduated cum laude in political science and went on to earn his JD at Indiana University. He's now a partner at K&L Gates in Chicago. Joanne, Chris's wife. Joanne is a graduate of University of Illinois at Chicago with a law degree from Loyola University of Chicago, where after retiring as vice president for regulatory affairs at Exelon, she later taught as an adjunct professor. Chris and Joanne have two daughters, both of them Kenyon graduates. Anna, a 2004 alumna, lives in Park City, Utah, and serves as a principal of Cash App. She holds an MA from Berkeley. As a side hustle, she and a friend last year started Lococo Company, which makes and sells a proprietary hot cocoa made from adaptogenic ingredients. Mary, the second daughter, one of my former pupils, 2009 alumna, is a resident of Los Angeles, where she's a product manager with Apple Maps. She and her husband, Sean Friedland, are the parents of the Bloom's two grandchildren. Now it's time for Chris, a certified mixologist, a historian of the art form, and the inventor of such drinks as the Bishop's Sidecar and other wicked concoctions, to take over and introduce his latest class of 1973 signature drink. If you have questions during the presentation, as Shana mentioned, please submit them to be answered at the end. Welcome, Chris and Joanne.
Now can you hear me?
Now.
Wave if you can hear. Okay. So a couple things that I think are worth knowing. I'm wearing my official United States Bartenders Guild uniform. I only bartend for charity events, but we do lots of sort of large events and we all wear the same uniform. So I'm wearing this one today, but I've got my middle path hat on, which is a bit of a Kenyon compromise, if you will. The other thing that you should know is that I tried to create a drink that would be universal. And so it has only a very few ingredients that were sort of carefully selected. So I'm going to make it in front of you. If you have questions, put them in the chat, or we'll get to them later. But this involves a whiskey, a bourbon whiskey. The whiskey that I'm using here is Old Granddad Bottled in Bond. It's the best bargain you're going to get in a whiskey. It's about $23 a bottle, and it's a beautiful, beautiful whiskey. You can pay a lot more and get a lot less. We were talking earlier, another favorite of mine is Old Forester. Again, really a good bargain, but it's a little more money. So we're going to stick with this one. It also involves a lime, a lemon, blackberries, and a honey syrup. So I'm going to start by preparing the preparing the glass. What we do is we take a half dozen or so blackberries. We'll add about half ounce, a quarter ounce to half ounce of honey syrup. That's honey that's been mixed with an equal amount of water. And then I'm going to muddle it. I have an official muddler, but you can use the back of a wooden spoon or anything else you'd like. And what I'm trying to do is create a very fast blackberry compote. Why? Because it gives us a lovely purple bottom. It'll serve as a base for the drink. So that's what it looks like. I hope you can see it. I'm a little far from the camera, but it's purple on the bottom. I then need some ice. And I'm going to take one nice large size cube of ice and put it in the glass like so. And then I'm going to take the ice and put them in a couple cubes in the shaker. We'll build the rest of the drink in the shaker with those cubes. Having a little trouble with getting them. There we go. One. Go with two. And there we are. You can use smaller cubes, but the large cubes melt slower. And so if you have them, it's great to use. So we're going to take the lemon juice. That's a half ounce, I pre-measured. And the lime juice. And we're going to add to that an ounce of the honey syrup. Again, obviously, if your tastes are more sweet or less sweet, you can vary the proportions. And I'm just going to do this to create room. Then we're going to take the whiskey, 2 ounces of the whiskey. Again, rather simple drink, but a lot of flavor is given with the spiciness of the whiskey and the lemon and lime. And then we only have one more job. Shake. So some people say, how much do you shake a cocktail? And there actually is an operating number. 40 shakes is what you want in general when you're doing a cocktail. They've looked at it and that gets everything mixed up very well. Now we can just pour this straight on, but I'm going to use a strainer to slow it down a bit. The strainer is not essential, but it gets rid of any duct that's left. And then you have the 50th reunion cocktail. Gold for 50th, the purple, and I hope you enjoy it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Now, can we turn off the mute so that people can show what they've made or ask questions live?
Okay, so everyone should be able to unmute themselves now.
Good. Oh, that was too much silence. Poor
delicious,
people
Chris.
should at least be drinking.
That's really
Cheers.
good.
It's
Very good.
delicious.
Oh, good. Well, it's fun to make and rather straightforward.
What was the name of the bourbon that you mentioned before?
So, Old Granddad is what I made it with. That's what it looks like. I probably should show you this just for fun. That is my entire bourbon collection. Okay. The other bourbon I mentioned, it's only because it's currently a bourbon that I really think is way good and way underpriced, which is my favorite kind of drink.
Yeah, Chris, I'm really glad you mentioned Old Granddad.
Yeah,
It's a great buy. It's wonderful.
it's fabulous. It does everything you want it to do. You want to be careful. You want to make sure you get the bottled bond. There's a lot of mythology about proof, but most whiskeys are really better at 100 proof, or approximately 52% alcohol by volume. That's how God intended them to be made. Not true for Maker's Mark, by the way. And different distillers have different views, but I would be very suspicious of anyone trying to sell you a whiskey which is at an 80 proof. 80 proof is very good for vodka, but not for most whiskeys. Most whiskeys need that power. They get distilled and put in barrels at about 160 proof, and it can be as low as 130 proof. But the only difference between a whiskey that's served to you at 100 proof or 110 proof and one that's served to you at 80 proof is there's more water in it. And why pay money for water? Good distillers and the people at Old Forester, at Old Granddad, Knob Creek, Jack Daniels, they know what proof is going to taste the best. And they're not going to short you on proof, try and prove something, pardon the pun, otherwise. So, I like whiskeys. I like whiskeys that are full strength. Too much alcohol, put some more ice in your glass. Any questions about? Well, you can't talk to me. Everybody's on mute.
Now, everyone can unmute themselves, but if you can keep yourself muted unless you're going to speak because it's causing a lot of feedback.
Got it.
Chris, this is Robbie. I had a question.
Right there. I have a question. As a mixologist, would you ever use really good bourbon to mix with your compost, or do you just use that straight?
I missed part of the question. Just say
Do
it.
you use really good, high-priced, good quality bourbon to mix into your fruit drinks? Or does one really save those for drinking, sipping like a scotch or whatever?
You're entirely right. This, I don't mean to say this badly, this poor old granddad is drowned with lemon, lime, honey, blackberries. You're not going to get that much value out of the drink. So a more expensive whiskey you want to save for something other than a mixed drink. If you talk to great bartenders, and I know some, they will all tell you that an old granddad, mixed whiskey drink should work perfectly. I mean, you can go up a little bit because that's almost like nickel and dime stuff. But the fact of the matter is that any mixed drink should go extremely well with old granddad. If you want to buy more, you want a little different taste, fine, but not usually. And I use old granddad almost all the time. I'm in a position where I get a lot of liquor, so I'm not as price sensitive as others. But the reason I brought the Old Forester today is this is like a $35 bottle and it drinks like a $90 bottle. So I wanted to show you something that's one step up and worth it. But nothing wrong with the others, just, it's a matter of what you're doing. And you're quite right, whether you're sipping it or not. Anything else?
Yeah, I think Julie has a question.
What was involved in becoming a certified mixologist? What did you need to do?
So there is no, quote, certified mixologist. There is something involved in becoming part of the USBG. I have several different certifications. Probably the most important one was that I spent several years at the Cordon Bleu School here in Chicago with mixology and advanced mixology courses. And I hold certifications, which is mainly a matter of passing tests from the United States Bartenders Guild. I think it's, you need that basic training, but it's more about getting the experience and doing drinks, drink contests, etc., which I have. I'm actually very proud of my association with the United States Bartenders Guild. I started out just as sort of a rank amateur mixologist, and then it got more and more serious, and then they found out I was a lawyer. And so now I'm their general counsel. And to give you a sense of what we've been able to do, I helped them create a foundation that last year, when the pandemic essentially got rid of bartending as we knew it, we raised $10 million and distributed to approximately 20,000 bartenders. So that's been a really fun achievement within that world. Obviously, not the most important use of a liberal arts degree, but for the people who got it, they enjoyed it. And one of the ways we raise money is to host events where you have 20 or 30 bartenders and you get each of them to create a cocktail, and you charge through a couple $100 a person. We've raised $250,000 a night doing that. So that's the real use of this jacket.
Chris, can you enlighten us to like your thought process when you're inventing or coming up with a new drink?
Yes, I can. I'm not sure I can tell you all of it, but so
just the stuff that's not top secret.
Yeah, sorry. No, that's I'm thinking of the stuff that's not just random. Okay. So one of the interesting things is the history of cocktails. And I maintain that the United States' only contribution to world cuisine was the cocktail. Almost everything else is derivative. The cocktail was created in America in the early 19th century, around 1805, 1810 is the first references. And it really gained steam just before the Civil War. People like Ulysses Grant was a cocktail man. As were almost all the figures you think of in the Gilded Age. Teddy Roosevelt once was put on trial or was involved in a trial when he was accused of being a drunkard. And his defense was that he only drank an occasional cocktail mixed by his valet. But there was a trial that happened while he was president in 1905, 1903, I think. At any rate, but even the cocktail is derivative. Cocktail is derivative from something called punch. And punch was the drink that was associated with the world expansion of Britain and started really in 1603. And it dominated drinking until the middle of the 19th century. And that was made in a big bowl and shared. The cocktail was very American. It was fast and you could have what you wanted. So a bartender would serve you not out of a common bowl, but would serve you what you wanted and Tom what he wanted, et cetera, Marcy what she wanted. And that was the innovation. I'm saying that just to give you the background. So all, historically, all punches and so consisted of something strong, an alcoholic beverage, something weak, water or ice usually, citrus, and spice. And you see that in bitters that are often used, and a citrus ingredient. And that all can't exist until there's trade with the West Indies, because they're providing the spices, allspice and those things. So it's a very modern thing. It really happens in the United States. And in New York in the 1820s, you could go into a bar and say, I want this drink, whether it be a whiskey sour or Daisy, which were very popular drinks back then. And you could have it made with your spirit and your way. It's very American. In fact, you may be familiar with the Savoy cocktail book from the Savoy Hotel in London. The bar in the Savoy Hotel is actually called the American Bar because at the time it was created, and this is in 1905, I think is when it opened. It meant you got an American style drink, a cocktail. That's a quick history. Hope it answered your question.
How did you make this drink?
Well, I started with the idea that I wanted for our 50th reunion to have something golden. And if possible, some purple. And after that, it was a matter of figuring out what would work, that would taste good. In winter, I get very whiskey-like. So I tried a couple different other things, but whiskey seemed to work. It took a while to find the blackberries and figure out the sweetness component to balance it. And of course, you were helpful in doing some taste testing for me.
This is different than the 3-2 beer that we used to have at
at Kenyon College, right?
Very different.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about getting a little bit over intoxicated in Old Kenyon, thoughts I haven't had in probably 50 years.
I mean, just a plug for hard liquor. Recognize that when you combine hard liquor, even hard liquor like, like the old Granddad, which is bottled in bond and therefore 100 proof, you're also throwing in it some juices and some sweetener. So the effective alcohol rate, though obviously higher than beer, usually is about 20 or 20 to 25%, and wine is 15%. So it is a slug more, but it isn't so much more in a cocktail. If you're drinking it straight, sky's the limit. And I recall straight shots of tequila and with a little lime and salt just off Middle Path back in the day. So that's higher.
Say, Chris, I just want to commend you for this concoction. I normally don't like sweet drinks, and this isn't too sweet. I normally don't like anything with lime in it, and the lime is like sort of underplayed and combines well with the strength of the bourbon, and also the lemon. So I really like this. I normally I drink a lot of bourbon, but it's usually just bourbon. I usually just get a couple ounces of bourbon and sip it while I'm suffering through the evening news. But this is very delightful, and I think it's a great drink to have as our signature drink for as we go into our 50th anniversary year. So I just wanted to commend you for this this recipe.
Thank you. What bourbon do you like to drink?
Well, since I sip it, I get a higher. In fact, I didn't have any Old Granddad with me, so I'm going against what you said because I have a Woodford Reserve here tonight.
Woodford Reserve is fabulous.
I kind of like Woodford Reserve, and some of the other top end like Angel's Envy and whatnot. But I'm going to, after tonight, I'm going to go out and get some Old Granddad so that I can. There we go. Yay, Tom. So that I can maybe start playing around with mixing. We've all got Woodford Reserve somewhere, probably in our cabinets somewhere.
I don't know if you can see my Woodford Reserve.
Oh, you got a special barrel? What?
But you'll see that it is rather empty.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this one gets empty. I buy the bigger bottles and then I pour them into the smaller bottles. It's a secret.
Yeah, no, Woodford Reserve is excellent, and you're never going to go wrong with it. But I can buy 2 of these for 1 Woodford.
Exactly. I guess usually if I'm looking for a less expensive, I usually choose Bullet as a choice. But.
Yeah, and off the record, I'm not a big Bullet fan, but there's a technical reason for that.
What is that?
Bullet, it's changed a little bit. Bullet historically bought their distilled spirits from off the lot of other distillers. Now, they would say that allowed them to taste it and keep the taste the same. And it's not all bad, but there are so many great bourbons that are distilled by distillers from beginning to end. Bullet was an upstart company, so it had to take a shortcut or 2. That I just prefer to use them to drink.
No, that's good advice.
But please don't tell that to the Bullet people. They make a great product.
Okay.
So Chris, I love that you, work to get some Kenyon connection to this with the purple and some of the other stuff. So if I may, I'd like to kind of throw out a little challenge to you and also to some of the creative people in our class, people like, Peggy and Bonnie. Some of you might remember, I mean, hopefully when we're back on campus, for our 50th reunion in person, which I hope we will all be back on campus for our 50th reunion, we can duplicate making this drink here. And some of you might remember, who were there for our 30th reunion, that we had a special label, remember this label, people, on bottles of wine for I think it was our 30th. Yeah, it was our 30th reunion. So maybe there's something we can come up with that becomes, I don't know, maybe I have my Kenyon glass here, maybe we make a glass or something, or we can relabel that bourbon bottle, right? Just to make it look to make it look like something. I'm assuming you can't like mix this up ahead of time and put it in the bottle and then serve it, right? You kind of have to do it, or can you?
There's some liquor licensing laws that we would have to discuss.
Well, don't, yeah, I know, okay.
Let's think about that.
We got the right lawyer.
Absolutely, we got the lawyer on the case.
I worry about those things for my clients.
I just wanted to say that since many of us are old granddads, this is a good bourbon to be using. Is there an old grandmom's bourbon?
There'd have to be a transgender kind of they bottle.
We're talking about
a they bottle would be good.
A sexist era in the world, but there
are no old grandmas. I'm sorry, not in this group.
That's right.
Without leaving that particular thread, there are a couple really good women master distillers, and if you're a fan of bourbon or dark spirits, try Dickel. Dickel is now being distilled by this Wunderkind woman. She is, of course, a mere babe at 40 years old, but she is doing great things. Great things. So you want to see what a woman's touch does here? I recommend that to you.
Hey, Chris, is that still called George Dickel?
Yes.
Well, they should get rid of the George.
Well, yeah, they actually do on their label, but she's been written up and interviewed, and she's considered really, really good. I like her product. It's a Tennessee whiskey. I don't do as much Tennessee whiskey, but I certainly think that it's worth trying, and certainly if you want to support a woman distiller, that's a place to go. I'm going to say one little advert for my daughter's product, just because it's sort of fun. This is La Coco. And she and her friends came up with this adaptogenic material. It's made with mushrooms and sweeteners that are good for you. She made it for skiing. If you're in Park City, it's available at half a dozen different shops in Park City. It's actually also available someplace in Oregon and someplace in Maine. I don't remember the details, but it's really tasty and it's kind of fun. So if you see it on the shelves, at least you can.
Go, Anna!
You'll know that it's a Kenyon product.
Is it available online, Chris?
What?
Is it available online?
It is, yes. It's lacocomagic.com.
Okay.
And she started off just trying to figure out a better hot chocolate for skiing, and she thought she could do better than Swiss Miss. She got past Swiss Miss in about an hour. This is a stunning product, actually.
So do you have to mix it with anything, or water or milk, or?
Yeah, so it comes in a powdered form. I mean, if you can, at several cafes in Park City and as this place in Oregon, you can actually get it pre-made. And the corner store down at the base of Park City Mountain makes it beautifully. And she uses You can use water. It's got its own milk product, so it's fine with water. But if you really want to go whole hog, you can put in oat milk, which turns out is a really great tasting solution. So you heat up a little oat milk, you put in the mix. And if you want a little alcohol, there are a couple of alcoholic beverages that she got from someone that are also on our website. Anyway, you may enjoy it.
Utah's really big on alcohol, you know, Chris.
I do, yes. I'm West Distillery these days.
I went to Costco today.
Serviceable, sorry?
I love High West.
Yes, High West is awesome. And they have a Bourrée, which is bourbon rye, right, Chris?
Yes, and they also have, I'm very fond of their double rye.
I am too.
Me too.
It can be used in this drink, but sort of like you go to the state liquor store and buy a bottle of Old Grandad for that purpose.
If it's available here, I will try it.
I'm not pushing it. There are a number of products. I just want you to have the reason I used it is it's very reasonable. And it gave me the opportunity to talk about proof in liquor, right? Because proof needs to be what the proof should be. It isn't some sort of magic world. And 100 proof bourbon is just fine. Also, I will say that while aged bourbon can be good, some of the best bourbons, I've talked to a lot of distillers about this, most bourbons are very good at 4 or 5 years. Some, like Knob Creek, go 7 or 8 years, but longer than that doesn't give you anything better in a bourbon. They're just not going to get more flavor. So this business that there's some iron rule, you got to get rid of that.
Chris and Joanne, do you have the same favorite cocktail or different favorite cocktails? What do you have on an evening at home?
You won't believe this.
I'm going to give you my answer.
Medication, I don't drink. But I have made myself a mocktail because I do want something adult. So I use kombucha and a lot of bitters and tonic. So that's my drink. I don't have a name for it. But Christopher, oh gosh, I don't know if you have any one drink.
Not an evening. I mean, a couple things are my favorite. Many of you may know, and if you don't, you can get access to. I did 200 straight drinks for 200 nights that were posted on Instagram under Chris Makes Cocktails. And I thought that the pandemic would be over by then. But after 200 drinks, I was doing a different drink every night, and they're all great drinks, or all but 2, and we'd argue over which 2 those are. After 200 nights, I had them all booked, and the thought of continuing meant that I would have to not make drinks that I already liked. So I would say any of those 200 drinks, which is great. And one of the things when I started doing the training for making cocktails that was very interesting to me is I originally went into it thinking, you know, at least I'm going to know what I want to drink when I go into a bar, right? You know, you're going to get the training, whatever else I get out of it, I'm going to know what drink. Well, that was wrong, because I go into a bar now and they ask me, what do I want? And I say, what do you like? Because what I learned is it's not the spirit, it's not even the cocktail, it's the execution. And lots of different drinks can be the same. And by the way, middle path is a good way of thinking of it. What you want is a drink that's balanced. Somebody was saying that this is not too sweet. Yeah, you don't want it to be too sweet. Yeah, you don't want it to hit you over the head. like a straight shot. Balance in everything, sort of like keeping a plane level. You can fly a plane at 1,000 feet, you can fly it at 10,000 feet, you can fly it at 30,000 feet, but you want it all in balance. That's what's important in cocktail making.
Maybe that's the name for this one, the middle path.
There you are. I do hope you've had a chance to drink this down a bit, because as you drink it, it changes flavor. And it's kind of fun when you get towards the bottom and you get more blackberry. And it gives you sort of a different, a little more of a maybe desserty taste. So I urge you to sort of taste that as it goes.
So Chris, I'm curious, you said you made like 200 drinks in 200 nights, I mean, cocktails.
Yeah.
As a lawyer, can you trademark drinks? I mean, can you create a drink and have a recipe and then like trademark it, or no, it's just out there in the public domain? Just
to clarify terms slightly, it's copyright you're talking about, and I'll come back to that in a minute because it's important. In theory, you should be able to copyright a drink as a creative expression. But 100 years ago, the Supreme Court, maybe in a sexist move, Second Circuit rather, maybe in a sexist move, said that these recipes were not sufficiently creative to rise to the level of copyright. So there's the absolute law in the United States is that a cocktail cannot be copyrighted. However, this is of course my field, there's nothing that stopped you from trademarking the name of a cocktail. There are several famous cases of drinks where the drink name got a trademark. One of them is, believe it or not, the Bacardi Cocktail, which is a rum concoction that's quite good, but has fallen out of favor. And Bacardi used to go around the world trying to sue people for use of the trademark. And I think what people did is they just stopped making it as a revenge. So you can make a rum cocktail and make it the way that the Bacardi cocktail is made. You just can't call it a Bacardi cocktail. That's probably more than you need to know. Although I will give you one more thing that is a lot of fun. And that is Angostura bitters. And Angostura bitters in the 1880s, when trademarks started to be able to be registered, tried to protect the name of their bitters, even though it's actually a name of the town. And you can't protect a geographic location from a trademark point of view. There ensued 30 years of litigation. And they finally found a judge who was persuaded that, in the United States at least, because Angostura bitters was made not in Angostura, but in a town next door, it served as a trademark. So it's been trademarked ever since. But there was a lot of ink spilled getting that trademark. It was recently chronicled in a book that talked about various history of various herbs in cocktails. So if you want bonus points on the answer to that question, yes, but. Anything else? At some point we're going to go into, I thought we were going to be put into separate rooms.
Yeah, we were having such a lovely conversation. We let it go, but I'm happy to put you into breakout.
I don't care whatever people want to do.
What do you think?
If we're not going to go into rooms, I would like to at least have everybody say one thing about what they're doing now before we adjourn the meeting.
Were the breakout rooms to talk about the reunion or just generally what we're doing?
No, the breakout rooms were just to kind of talk, but since we've been talking, why don't we, yeah, Shana, do you want to just go around and call each person since you can see everybody and everybody just say, hi, this is what I'm up to, or hi, whatever, just
Yeah, sure.
30
it'd be
seconds. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'll just start at the top left-hand corner of my screen and I'll call people out as we go around. So that means that Stamp should start us out.
Well, I'm still at Kenyon, college historian and keeper of Kenyoniana, and I'm retiring at the end of June.
Wow. Wow.
Teaching my last class right now, so
Wow.
sort of looking forward to it, sort of scared.
Mhm.
What's the class that you're teaching?
What's the class?
Yeah.
Oh, it's history of the American higher education, but as basically as seen through the history of Kenyon. And it's a good time, of course, to do that because we have a bicentennial
Yeah.
up in 2024.
All right, Joanne Bloom, you're next.
Don't
You're on
really
mute.
belong
Hey.
to the class, but I kind of, hang around with you guys. Christopher took me to Kenyon on a date. Oh gosh, I forget what reunion it was for, perhaps the 5th. And then I realized that he was testing me to see if I passed. And I did pass. So no, I've written a book about Chicago. I'm very into Chicago history. So I've written a book about the oldest neighborhood in Chicago. It's the last, one of my last efforts.
Very nice. All right, Chris Bloom, you're next.
Oh, that's not fair. We've just been through.
Yeah, we know everything about him.
Move on.
I just wanted to check. All right, Andrew Brilliant.
Here, I have to unmute. I live in Boston, in Jamaica Plain, which is a neighborhood of Boston, and I'm working as a photographer. I've been doing that for 40 years. I'm also a real estate agent. I just the other day became a broker. I had to go through the exam process and study for a while. I hadn't done that for years. And I'm also, September, I'm planning to start an MFA program in creative writing at the University of Massachusetts in Boston. I was accepted last September, but I couldn't work out the financing with them, but I'm hoping to go this September. I may be one of the oldest living graduate students in the world. Come visit to Boston if you're ever around. Call me up. You can find me.
Okay.
All right, Julie. Oh, you're muted.
Me now?
Yes.
I live outside of Philadelphia with my husband Jim, class of '74. And right now I'm basically impatient for COVID to end and be able to travel again. But I finished recently a 7-week course in modern Greek from the Athens Center. I was a classics major, and I'm meeting with 2 Greek conversation groups, and getting ready to do some work for candidates who are for sensible gun laws, and reading a lot, walking a lot, standing outside of friends' houses and talking to them from the porch. And we've got 1 grandchild here and 2 in Toronto. And we just learned we're going to be spending a week and a half with the 2 in Toronto in March. So that's what I'm doing.
Excellent. All right, Robbie.
Hi there. Currently, we're Vermont residents, where tonight it'll be -27, so we're being crazy. We also have, we recently purchased a home in Annapolis, so Jim will get to perhaps sail, although he says he doesn't want another boat. We have a couple grandkids. Jim is working, he decided to be the president of Rotary. I work with the Chamber Society and some other stuff and trade. We have a couple of grandkids. Our son is currently working at the Pentagon, and our daughter is actually at a defense company, Northrop Grumman. So everything's good. We're all healthy and we're having a good time, but cold.
All right, Jane.
You're muted, Jane.
I have left.
We can't hear you, Jane. I think you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. You can type in the chat, Jane. I can read it out for everyone. All right, Mike Hirschfield.
Thanks. It's good to see everyone. I'm glad we have a chance to drink. Still practicing law after going to the University of Virginia and getting an MBA and law degree after Kenyon. So still married to my high school sweetheart who attended many Kenyon functions with me after 47 years. We have 3 daughters, all adults, 3 grandchildren. I'm trying to taper down from practicing law, but still active in it and do mainly closely held businesses and merger and acquisition work. So it's great to see everybody, and it's great to see you, Tom, and happy you're finally hanging it up after all those years.
All right, Jan.
Okay, so I'm living the life here in New York City. And for those of you who know, I retired after many years at Colgate-Palmolive. And at first I said I was going to take a gap year. And then I said I was going to take a second gap year. And so now I guess I'm into like, you know, another gap year. But yeah, I'm reading a lot, and I'm really glad that here in New York, a lot of the arts has opened up. So going to concerts and to theater and taking lots of walks around the reservoir. And I've got my daughter and her husband and my 3 grandchildren live in Chicago. So I've traveled there a couple of times to see them in Oak Park. And it's all good. You take it one day at a time, right? So that's what we're doing.
All right, Linda.
I retired 3 years ago. I still spend time volunteering at a couple of churches. I have a 2.5-year-old grandson whose parents moved here last summer, so I spend a couple of days a week with him. I'm currently taking a very informal story writing class with a cousin of mine who is a writer, and she lives in Boston. It's a Zoom class. I do a lot of reading. And we're in Cleveland, and right now we're doing a lot of snowshoeing because we have great, cold, dry, deep snow.
All right, Howard.
Hi, everybody. It's good to catch up. Living in Washington, D.C., my wife teaches over at Georgetown. I've got a daughter who's a junior at Princeton. And I recently retired. Even before Kenyon, I kind of had a dream of writing science fiction and fantasy. And post Kenyon, I spent about 10 years doing a lot of writing. But eventually my writing turned into journalism. And so I got involved as a reporter and then went to work in government, worked with Senator Feinstein for a number of years. And then I also did communications at the Motion Picture Association. But I left that about 3 years ago, was doing some consulting, also working with a group called Capitol Hill Village, which is a kind of senior support organization in Washington, D.C. to help people live in place in the Capitol Hill area. So I enjoy that. I basically wake up every morning, do a few hours of writing, then try to get out for 2 or 3 hours riding around town on my bike or walking and just enjoying things. So kind of really liking that, like the space and the being able to write without worrying about whether it's going to get published and whether I'm going to make a whole bunch of money so I can support myself, and like doing that.
All right, Bonnie.
Hi, everybody. Well, 6 weeks ago, we moved from San Francisco to Delray Beach, Florida. It's been a rather radical move for me, having grown up in New York, and kind of felt like Florida wasn't really going to be a place I was going to live. You know, my grandparents lived here, my mom lived here, my mother was the only person, I think, from New York who moved down to Florida and moved back to New York. So I was a little hesitant to get here. The weather is beautiful. The beach is gorgeous. We live a half a block from the beach, and I have a great studio. So, you know, I'm adjusting to a very different kind of culture here. I guess my goal is to be a bit of a change agent in Florida, you know, having come from San Francisco. So we still have our apartment in New York, which we're going to keep, and our house in San Francisco is on the market. So it's a really big change. But I spent today with Donna. We had a nice lunch at her adorable little house. And she's down here. And I'm starting to connect with people, and that'll be good. And the studio I have is called the Arts Warehouse, and there are 12 other artists and exhibition space and community programming. So I think it'll be good. I'm not retired at all, but my husband decided to retire, which is a big shock to me. But I'm going to go visit Dixie in Park City, and I'm going to go see Anna in Park City because our Dawn's son and daughter have a house there. I have butter and a great nephew who's really my grandson, if you can figure that out. But it's really been fun. And my brother lives in Florida. So, you know, I'm kind of shifting to the East Coast a bit, but a lot of people from Ohio here. So I feel I feel okay.
All right, Jane typed her report into the chat so we could hear her what's happening. So I'll just read it real quick. It's great seeing everyone. Retired 5 years ago. We live in Southwest Ohio on a lake and love kayaking, skiing, and wine cruises. Right now, I'm in the panhandle of Florida where it is not too warm. I keep busy reading, swimming, swimming a bit at the local Y, and have recently started playing pickleball. I still teach swimming on an as-needed basis. Life is good, 2 daughters and 4 grandkids. Thank you, Jane. All right, Ellen Pater.
Hello. So I live on the opposite side of Massachusetts from Andrew. I'm in Northampton and supposedly recently retired from UMass. I'm an anthropologist. And my area is housing discrimination. So Andrew, you better watch it as a realtor. So my daughter is an equestrian, which means although I'm retired, I'm still teaching. I have an academic editing business because we have to support her horse. Other than that, I'm sort of thinking about actually maybe what it'll be like to retire if I actually ever really do. But it's nice sort of slowing down, you know, and not having to be someplace at a particular time.
All right, Donna. You're muted, Donna.
Better? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was working from home starting in March of 2020, and by the end of the year, my son had headed down to Miami. I asked him to look for a place for me. I'd been looking online on and off for years, and he found me a house and said, "Mom, you have to move here." 3 weeks later, I was in Palm Beach Gardens in a house I'd never seen. And I love it. It's been fantastic. I didn't want to go through another winter in New Jersey being locked in a high rise. I have a guest room for all my friends to come visit, and it was wonderful having Bonnie move down. We got together today, and I hope to see a lot more of her. I am a member of the PGA National Resort, so I can use their pool and restaurants, and I belong to the gym, and I now have a trainer 2 days a week, which is something I never did in all my younger years. And I have a neighbor that I go walking with, and I am still working from home because home is where your laptop is now. And even though my boss is in Long Island and my coworkers in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, we're able to work perfectly well. She wants me to come back to New Jersey to empty the office because she realizes there's no need to pay rent anymore. So I do still have my apartment in Fort Lee, and I will probably be selling that sometime when I can unload it of the many, many, many possessions belonging to my mother, my sister, my son, myself, and there's not a lot of room here. So when I get rid of everything, I'm going to be down here full time, and I love it. The weather is great. And in Palm Beach Gardens, almost everybody I meet is from New Jersey, New York, or Connecticut. So it's a totally different mindset. And everything that I had in Bergen County is here with no traffic, and I'm 10 minutes from anything you want to go to the beach. It's fabulous. So come on down.
All right, Peggy.
Oh, hey, everybody. Let's see. I am still living in the house I grew up in Scarsdale. I'm getting ready to redo my kitchen. And hopefully we'll be leaving here soon because as soon as I get my kitchen done, because my taxes are insane. I'm still working. My husband's still working. I'm a graphic designer. Most recent projects are just redesigned a website for a headhunter that I designed her site for 11 years ago. And I work pretty much 3/4 times for the Fed Bank of New York. Both my kids went to Kenyon. My daughter lives in Brooklyn and is a senior analyst at an insurance firm and a co-insurance firm, an insurance firm. I don't know, she reads Carrie Pector's weekly blog, I know that much, and she lives in Brooklyn. And then my son Sam is living in Miami, and he is doing a bunch of different things, a lot of them in interior design, some of them in sustainability. And I think I'll probably keep working until people stop calling me to do things for them. And that's about it.
Great, Robin.
I live in New York and I'm still working. I work at NYU Langone Medical Center on the corporate side of things, and I'll probably keep working through till next year, maybe. I live in the city now, but I bought my first house last year. It's a townhouse in Hudson, and I have a great view of the Catskills and the Hudson River, and that's very exciting. And I do Pilates twice a week and an aquatics class. I became very athletic, I guess, in the last 20 years. And what else? Oh, and I'm going to Paris for a week in February. Decided it's time to travel again. Yeah. And my sister decided she wants to move to the Hudson Valley too, from Oregon, which completely shocked me, but she's looking online for a place to live. So I'm excited about that.
Great. All right, Dixie.
Okay. Hey, Chris, thank you for doing this. First of all, you had a cocktail at our last get together, our last reunion, and I have been drinking that every night since. That cocktail is wonderful. Thank you.
Wow.
This has been enjoyable. Tom, it's great. I'm sorry you're retiring because I think you've done an excellent job and it's wonderful to have you in that position. So I'm sorry about that, but I understand. It's okay. I'm living in Park City. I was in San Francisco for 28 years and I've been here 8. I love it. It's back to the country. I grew up near Kenyon. I was about 10 miles away from Kenyon. So the country is normal for me. And it's a little more liberal in Park City than usual Utah. So that gives you an idea of, of what goes on here a little bit, I guess. But anyway, I enjoy my life here. I'm having a great time and I'm looking forward. Bonnie says she's got her stepson lives here. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. It's great to see all of you. Thank you.
All right, Jim Wright.
Hello. I live in Oregon. I've been here 15 years. And when I got out of Kenyon, I swore I would never be a salesman, but I managed to get over that vow and spent time doing sales and sales management and marketing, and experienced some of the adventures that happen with corporate restructuring. And so following that, decided to become part of what Philander Chase was planning for, people moving west, and went to seminary. And now I'm a priest and chaplain and fully active, doing more volunteer stuff than conventional in-church stuff. We have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. And it's a remarkable path to have been on, but I'm alive and well. And I'm wondering, where did your hair go? Andy Brilliant, where's your hair? I can ask that question, but you had such a beautiful head of hair. I don't hear you.
I'll have an impolite comment. I won't say it, but no, I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went. I think you took it, or Tom took it. He's got the hair. Tom Stamp still has hair. Who still has hair?
When
Nobody
people
knows.
ask me, I tell them they're too short to see it. There's still some up here.
And Chris is wearing a hat. I was going to wear my hat tonight because I'm having a bad hair day. So, by the way, I forgot to say I had a short story published, my first published work, called "The Man Who Loved a Woman, Who Thought He Loved a Woman," and the end of it takes place at a college in the Midwest called Stanton College. Now, you might recognize a little bit of Kenyon, but not really. But if you want to see a copy, I can send it to you.
All right, Tom Allen.
Hello again, everyone. So I retired 1 year ago in January of 2021, and so I'm 1 year out, and I have never been busier. I continue to do research. I continue to write. What I don't continue to do as a former professor is to go to departmental meetings or staff meetings, or I don't get involved with university politics. All I do is sit in my office here and I write and analyze data that I collected during my career and trying to get things published. I have 2 sons. My younger son is living in Brooklyn, and he's an account manager for La Colombe Coffee, and he's doing very well. And my older son is a composer and sound designer in film. He's independent, and he's working in LA. And he's married to a philosophy professor, Kate, and they just had a baby, and that's my first grandson. And so we were very pleased. We went out and saw the baby at Christmas. The baby's 2 months old, so we're really excited about having a grandkid. Otherwise, I do a lot of photography. I do a lot of reading, like a lot of people here. It's great when you retire and you have time to get up in the morning and actually read the paper. And you actually get to read books, and you actually get to think about books and talk about books. And so I'm having just a great retirement and keeping busy both in things that I was trained to do and things that I've always wanted to do and haven't had time to do. Done a lot of photography, done a lot of theater going, music going, as things have opened up. And it's just been a really good life in this last year for retirement. So people who are thinking about it, I recommend it.
Hey.
I'm sorry, Sheena, did you say Kay?
Yes, I did. Sorry about that.
Sorry, that's okay. Just checking.
Go ahead, Kay, you can.
I'll go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's great to see you all. I'm still teaching art history at Sinclair College in Dayton. Not quite ready to retire because I'm supposed to be taking our students to Japan this summer, and I don't think that's going to happen. The Japanese in true form will probably be the last country on earth to have no restrictions on people coming in. So I think I have to work at least another more year to be able to take students to Japan next summer. I was able to have a nice trip to Kenyon in the fall. I got very nostalgic for the leaves. They always meant a lot to me. And so got to see Tom and Liz and Jackie and Sarah. We had a really good time together, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you at our reunion. And I still can't get my head around that 5-0. Probably never will. Maybe you can give me coping mechanisms for that, because I'm not doing a very good job. But I hope you all take care of yourselves and stay well. Everyone looks great. Even the hair thing is appealing. So I hope to see you all for reunion and with more events online, even though they are a substitute for reality. Being in person, I think they've worked really well the past 2 years. So thank you, Sheena, for hurting us on this one.
Yeah, no problem, Kay. All right, Kurt Kirkall.
Hi, everybody. I'm in Cleveland, and I retired at the end of last year. So I worked as a president of executive director of a foundation for about 15 years. Prior to that, I practiced law. I was involved in a lot of educational programs with our foundation, and I will continue that after my retirement. I have 4 kids and a lovely wife. All 4 of my kids went to Kenyon, so I had this great opportunity to go down and see Kenyon a lot of times. I think I had somebody there for 12 years in a row. And so I had a great time. Got a chance to see Tom Stamp quite often when I went down. My kids are, they're all right now in Cleveland, although a lot of them are working remotely. So I have somebody who works for the Urban Lands Institute in New York, but he's in Cleveland. And I have somebody who works as a landscape architect in Santa Barbara, California, and he's in Cleveland. So we have all 4 kids here for now. I had a daughter who was living in Brooklyn, and she and her husband moved back during the pandemic and bought a house, and they've relocated here. So I have 1 grandson who's a year old and been amazing. So things are good. So it's great to hear about those that have retired and all the reading I'll be able to do, which I haven't been able to do. But looking forward to getting back. And I also want to say that I saw Tom not too long ago, and he was recovering from some pretty major problems that he had. Tom, were you able to drink that drink? Are you back able to drink alcohol, or is that?
Technically, no.
That's tough.
I told Marcy I would take one sip, and that's what I've done. And it was a very good sip. But I'm sitting here now looking at the glass and thinking, I am going to eat those blackberries.
Right.
He was looking forward very much when we had lunch at the Village Inn to the time he could consume alcohol again. So hopefully that will be pretty soon. But
I hope so. For those of you who don't know, we have a group here in Gambier called Friends of Martinis that used to gather regularly. And Chris actually did a presentation for us on the history of the martini and how to make a real martini. And it had a big effect on all of us. So if we ever want to do a symposium on the martini, Chris is the man.
the other thing is, I saw the new library, which is there, and it's really spectacular. So everybody should look forward to coming back to campus just to see that. It's really very spectacular. So Tom took us on a tour of it. It was really nice.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Kate Cashman.
Hi, everybody. My husband Gideon and I are still in New York City, and I'm listening to all of you retired. And Gideon's 92 now. You would never believe it were you to see him. But and he's not retired. He's still an active attorney at this time. And I recommend it. But we have been shut down a lot, and I've become obsessed with books and walking. And I've actually now walked 2,800 miles since the shutdown, which means I have walked from New York City to Los Angeles. And I think next I'll head up to see my Uncle Alan, those of you who remember Uncle Alan Batchelder, because he's in Tillamook, Oregon. And I got to go someplace next because I can't go into the Pacific Ocean. So I'm going to head up to Oregon next. My work is with charities. I have 3 different charities. One I work with the elderly in New York City. One where we give grants to undergraduates and graduates. That is spectacular because I meet all these young people who are so full of what's ahead of them, and it keeps me young. And then, of course, I'm still emeritus on the Philander Chase Conservancy in Gambier, which I've been part of since its inception and which has been really important in protecting the environment around Gambier. I have one daughter whom you all met when she was much younger. She's an ID doctor up at Mass General. And needless to say, it's kind of busy right now as an infectious disease doctor. And her 2 daughters, my granddaughters, I'm obsessed. I admit it. Thank God for FaceTime.
All right, thanks, Kate. Christiana. We can't see your face, but I don't know if you're there to tell us a little bit about what's happening.
Hi, I'm going to try to get it on video. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to try. I'm on my cell phone, so it's kind of hard. I'll see if I can get it to work here. Anyway, we're living in Virginia still. I'm still married to my husband that I think people met at the 40th reunion. We live on about 150 acres and our land joins the Appalachian Trail. So one of the things we do a lot of is hiking. We don't have any children, unlike everybody else. We used to have 3 horses, 3 cats, and a dog, but we are now empty nesters. But we've lent some of our property out, so we have baby cows, but I don't have to do any work with them. I went to Case Western after I graduated and got a nursing degree. I can't really say I'm retired, but I work part-time and I was doing a lot with scheduling monoclonal antibodies with COVID. I'm a community outreach nurse. So everything kind of shut down with COVID, and hopefully this spring we'll get back to do some of that. And I did a lot of Red Cross disaster relief work years ago. where a hurricane would hit and they'd say, come, and I'd go away and be gone for 2 or 3 weeks. But now I'm just doing local things with the Red Cross on the board. And I don't really have much else to say. I'm looking forward. It's been a lot of fun hearing all this and seeing everybody, and hopefully we'll be able to make it to the reunion in May of next year.
All right,
Over
great.
and
Thank
out.
you. Thank you. All right, that's everyone. Tom, if you want to
Okay, I
take
just
it
have
from
a
here.
few closing comments to make. Well, first of all, thanks again to Chris and Joanne for that wonderful presentation. And as I mentioned earlier, we being the members of the reunion committee, which you are all welcome to join, have planned this to be the first of several opportunities offered every month or so to gather via Zoom with old friends and new in anticipation of our 50th reunion a little more than a year from now. We have a second one of these events titled Travel in the Time of COVID, already in the final planning stages. So look for an invitation in the next month or so to that. We hope you'll have your own suggestions about presenters and topics that you can share with us. Julie Miller-Vick and I, who are co-chairing the Communications and Engagement Committee, would love to hear from you via email. And these are 2 very easy email addresses. Julie's is juliemvick@gmail.com. And mine is stamp, just plain stamp, @kenyon.edu. I'm hoping they'll let me keep that. And remember, it's not too early to start planning for your return to Kenyon in May 2023. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We hope to see you at another Zoom event in the near future. Thank you all.
Cheers, everybody.
Good to see you, Tom. Miss
Good to
you.
see you.
Hey, Tom, David says hi to you.
Oh, hi back, Adam.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.